What's up, gang? After a long time skip and a journey to reunite Clementine with Alvin Jr., we've returned to complete the ranking of Telltale's Walking Dead episodes. We're on the final season.
And look who it is in the back seat, AJ himself.
Lil bro's 5 years old and already has the best toy any child can have. A goddamn gun. This is America, baby.
What good is a gun without bullets?
A gun is a gun, Sleepy Joe.
If there's anything you can say about AJ, you can be damn sure that's Rebecca's kid. Bro looks like a carbon copy.
On the road with AJ, we can feed him some chips, help him learn to read, and distract him with disco broccoli. And eventually the dynamic duo will come across a train station.
Walking around, you can find some collectibles. Apparently, Clementine has grown a fondness for bones.
At this train station, we'll get a look at the dynamic between Clem and AJ. The boy is always listening and learning from us, just as Clem did for Lee. Your choices will determine the kind of kid Alvin will become.
In the station, there's some Walker couple strapped to a chair. Apparently, they decided enough was enough and poisoned themselves.
It's gorgeous. They get to spend all eternity together, even if it's as walkers.
Bro, what?
James isn't even in this episode. I'm not trying to hear the whole walkers are sentient thing now. Anyway, you can choose to have Alvin Jr. crawl into the back room to unlock the door, or you can kill the Walker couple, take their key, and just unlock the door.
It's worth noting the last wishes from the couple were that they be left alone.
Fuck 'em. I got no concerns for the dead.
I respect their wishes, not because I think they're alive or anything, but because I believe in karma. Inside the back room, we come across some ammunition and a whole horde of jarred preserves underneath the building.
They were eating like kings. Well, it's ours now.
Unfortunately, they rigged the trap door and a grenade rolls out, destroying everything and attracting a horde of walkers to the area.
Okay, I take what I said earlier back. Screw the last wishes of the Walker couple. If they want to be left alone, fine, but they didn't have to destroy the food for those of us who are still living.
Old motherfuckers doing what they do best and pulling the ladder up behind them.
Anyway, Clem and AJ make it back to the car, but all hell is breaking loose. Walkers are all over the place, and in our attempts to escape, Clementine crashes into a goddamn rock and flips the car.
We're gonna have to talk to Kenny about what he taught Clementine.
When Clem comes to, she's strapped to a bed in an average-looking motel room.
There are exposed pipes and whole pieces of the ceiling missing. This isn't just wear and tear from the zombie apocalypse. The room already looked like this.
Once we get ourselves out of the room, we'll meet up with two other kids, Tennessee and Marlon.
What the hell does that kid have on his head? A dead rat? How is he even giving himself that haircut?
Marlon clearly didn't have his own version of Lee to tell him to keep his hair short, though Clementine hasn't done a particularly good job at that either.
Hey, it's hard finding scissors.
She had a knife, just cut it off.
Walking around, we'll soon see this place is nothing but kids. One of them shows up and starts just staring at Clementine.
Bro is taking mental images for later.
What do you mean by that, Donald?
You'll find out when you're older.
This place is Erickson's boarding school for troubled youth. There were adults here, but they left all the kids behind. Everyone here was a kid when the apocalypse began. Honestly, a smart idea from Telltale here. After 2 seasons of Clementine having to carry a group of adults, it's good to see her with a group of peers.
Marlon is in charge of things here. He goes off to take care of some walkers, and Clem goes looking for AJ. Apparently, he tried to take a bite out of this redhead named Ruby, and we find Alvin with, is that Lucio from Overwatch?
I'm not even going to question how Lewis has maintained his hair. I'm just going to point out how I know that shit smells like wet dog.
Lewis will start trying to riz Clem up by playing Oh My Darling Clementine, and it's up to you if that's going to work or not.
Music class is going to have to wait. We've got walkers to kill. We go out with some of the other kids, including this girl, Violet, who has the worst case of gamer neck I've seen in my entire life.
Violet got a posture like her subtitles should be italicized.
Violet looks like Squidward in that episode of SpongeBob when he was choking on a fork. Y'all know the one.
Okay, not too much on Violet. Leave her alone.
My bad, Joe. I didn't know we were talking about your girl.
After we clear the walkers using some Looney Tunes ass traps, we end up getting to meet with our favorite girl, Rosie, who introduces herself by cracking the skull of a walker.
Jesus Christ, what are they feeding her? She's like 1% body fat.
I think we saw what she's feeding on. It's walker meat.
Their lucky blood doesn't turn her into a zombie dog. Then we'd have a tank on 4 legs going around attacking everyone.
Back inside the walls, Marlon fails a cup check when he comes up behind Alvin. And now we have to go around getting AJ acclimated to being around other people. You can meet with Willie and Mitch, Chef Omar, Asim. We'll apologize to Ruby and Marlon for AJ's actions.
Now we get to sit down and enjoy a nice warm meal, and just like that, this is already going better than season 2. At least the Erickson kids fed Clem and AJ instead of locking her in a damn shed.
Once dinner is over, We'll engage in some card games with Lewis, Violet, and Marlon. This is a chance to become familiar with some of the core members of the group, and for us to revisit some of the things that have happened to Clementine.
If you happen to ask what the grossest thing everyone has eaten is, Clem will mention that she ate a guy's leg, if you happen to fail to stop her from eating some of Mark's leg meat in Season 1, Episode 2.
Funny enough, Lewis asks if Clem has ever had a boyfriend, and you can plainly say, nope, never.
Gabe, I don't remember any Gabe.
The game ends when Clem is asked if she had to kill anyone she loved, which loops us back to Lee. We retire to our bedroom for the night and have a little one-on-one time with Violet, where she tells us about the kids who are no longer around, Sophie and Minerva.
Apparently Minerva was an old fling for Violet.
Violet leaves us after a while, and AJ, for some reason, decides he wants to sleep on the floor. Poor kid probably hasn't slept on a bed since his days at the McCarroll Ranch. Eventually, you can get AJ to come up onto the bed or let him stay on the floor, and we'll jump ahead to the next day.
Marlon shares his struggles with leadership and puts Clementine to work. You can either go hunt rabbits with Lewis and a sim, or go fish with Brody and Violet.
If you go hunting with the boys, you can either hunt rabbits or beat a trapped walker like a piñata. Otherwise, you can go with the girls and catch a few fish. You'll learn that Brody and Violet have a tense relationship over what happened to Sophie and Minerva during this.
Eventually, you'll go meet up with the duo you didn't pick, but you'll find that the traps for the rabbits or the fish have been sabotaged by someone, and you'll come across some rolled up Bible pages that look like a cigarette. This causes Brody to start panicking, and she storms off, leaving Clementine alone with Violet, Lewis, and AJ.
In an attempt to find more food, Clementine takes the group beyond Marlin's safe zone to the train station in hopes of recovering some of the food that might have survived the explosion.
While Lewis distracts the walkers, Clementine and AJ make it back inside as Violet keeps watch. As AJ grabs the jars of food, some guy pulls up and surprises us.
The hell is Violet doing out there? How did this guy sneak past her?
This guy, who is Abel, is smoking the same cigarettes we found earlier, meaning he's the guy who messed with our traps. AJ will show up and draw his gun, and you can either have AJ stand down, which will allow Abel to leave with his share of the food, or you can have Clementine shove Abel out the window into the arms of some walkers. No matter what you do, we'll haul ass out the train station with enough food to feed the entire group for days.
You'd think everyone would be happy about this, but when Clementine explains everything that happened with Abel, Brody loses her goddamn mind, regardless of how you handled things.
Marlon does take issue with us going outside the safe zone, but all in all, things are all right, it seems. We have a conversation with Tennessee about the afterlife and go to bed only to be woken up by the sound of yelling.
Clementine goes out to investigate. Breaking into the basement, she finds Brody and Marlon. Brody reveals that the sisters, Sophie and Minerva, weren't killed by walkers. They were given away to raiders by Marlon. This results in Marlon splitting Brody's head open with the flashlight.
Well, it was only a matter of time before things went to shit here.
Brody will use her dying breath to tell us that Marlon is planning on giving Clementine and AJ away to the same raiders if they come back, after which she will succumb to her injury and die.
Well, you know what this means. Brody is going to turn, and Marlon, this goddamn rat, runs off and locks Clementine inside. We search for a tool to release the lever, and before we can get out, Brody reanimates and attacks us, leaving Clementine no choice but to beat her face in with the flashlight.
I'm not even going to hold you. This is probably the creepiest moment in all 4 games.
Clementine calls Marlon's bluff, knowing he needs her and AJ alive to trade to the raiders. And she reveals to all the other kids that Marlon traded Sophie and Minerva away.
Marlon will do his best to defend himself, and Clementine can appeal to Violet or Lewis. After some hesitation, one of them will jump to Clem's defense, and more of the kids will try to get Marlon to stand down too. But then he starts waving his gun around.
Yeah, brother, you're not inspiring a lot of confidence by aiming a gun at all your friends and yelling.
Marlon eventually confesses to what Clementine accuses him of, and everyone turns on him, and Marlon finally gives in. You have a few options on how you handle him. You can take Marlon as a prisoner, tell him to leave and never come back, or you can let him remain, but not as leader. Regardless of what you pick, the episode will come to an end.
Or that's what would have happened if Alvin Jr. didn't have other plans.
Please. Fine. What? I aimed for the head.
Good shot, AJ.
Nope, we gotta start over. This kid didn't come out right.
Okay, now the episode is over and goddamn done running is a certified banger.
Picking up with Clem finding AJ was a great decision, letting us skip straight into the dynamic between these two characters. The beginning of the episode is solid. We get to meet a wide range of characters, get set up for our major antagonist, and the ending is peak.
The tension at the end of the episode is outstanding. While I would have liked to see Marlon last a little longer, his breakdown was well done.
Not as well done as AJ's takedown.
Done running. Is going straight into peak. Season 4 started outstandingly well, which made it a shame when Telltale briefly went under during the writing of Season 4. But thankfully, we got the entire season anyway. Episode 2 is Suffer the Children.
Picking back up with AJ and Clementine in their bedrooms, we carry on like nothing happened. Now I'm playing everyone is pissed about what AJ did to Marlon.
Lewis is distraught and poor Ruby starts asking someone to go grab the first aid kit.
Sweetheart, we're way past the point of a first aid kit being of any help.
The group has completely turned on AJ over shooting Marlon while he was down, and it's up to you as Clementine to teach AJ that what he did was either wrong or justified. Remember, he's listening to you. It is also revealed to us that Violet is on your side, even if you didn't appeal to her in the previous episode.
Tennessee will arrive and invite us to the funeral of Brody and Marlon when we arrive. It doesn't seem like we're all too welcome.
Marlon might be a rat, but I'm sad to see poor Rosie mourning her owner. We don't deserve dogs.
Violet won't be able to say anything about Marlon after what he did to the twins, and I gotta admit, she's the only one making any damn sense. Everyone is jumping to Marlon's defense, like he didn't say not even 12 hours ago that he'd trade everyone else away.
In the end, the group decides to hold a vote to see if Clementine and AJ can remain at the school. Our duo returns to their room. And we get to see that AJ definitely inherited his mom's anger issues as he starts trying to put his foot through a wall.
We have got to get this kid into some anger management classes.
For now, we'll have to settle for teaching him to breathe it out.
Violet and Lewis will arrive and inform us that the group has voted us out. Only 3 people agreed to let us stay. Everyone else wants Clem and AJ to kick rocks.
Democracy, we saved these kids.
AJ agrees as he starts throwing a tantrum over being kicked out. Violet clearly wants us to stay, and 10 was on our side too.
For some stupid reason, Lewis tells AJ to hand over his gun even though we're leaving and we'll need protection. Who does bro think he is?
Violet and Lois walk us outside the safe zone and we're back on the road again. We don't get too far before someone takes a shot at us, and we meet up with the guy from the train station, Abel. If you push him into the walkers, you'll notice he's missing an arm. If you don't, he'll still have all his limbs.
Clementine easily overpowers Abel, but before we can get rid of him, someone else arrives and catches Clementine lacking. AJ is also captured, and one of the pair starts asking about Marlon. We let them know he's dead, and eventually we'll get a good look at our assailant, and it's a familiar face.
Well, holy shit, it's Lily from season 1.
Damn, what the hell happened to her? She looks like Melina in the Frenzied Flame ending.
For what it's worth, Lily eases off Clementine when she realizes who we are. She tries to strike a bargain with us. Lily and her group help raise AJ, and Clementine helps them kidnap the rest of the Erickson kids.
Me personally, I'm down. Unfortunately, we got kicked out of the school, and I wish the game would let us tell Lily that.
While we talk to Lily, Lewis and Violet will come back. If you tell them to run, they'll get out without any trouble. But if you tell Violet to shoot her arrow, she'll tag Lily, but Lewis will be shot in return. Clem and AJ run away and a chase through the woods begins.
We got to talk about AJ here for a second. This kid is 5 years old and got grazed by Abel's shotgun. Lil bro fell down for a second, got up and kept fucking running. He is a Terminator toddler.
The kid is built differently, no doubt.
When some walkers show up, we manage to dodge Lily and Abel, and Clementine is forced to defend AJ against the horde until some guy pulls up and distracts the walkers by throwing a rock into another area.
In hindsight, that's something we should have started doing a long time ago. Sure as shit beats covering yourself in walker guts.
Well, it's time for everyone's favorite part of any Telltale Walking Dead video game, a little bit of operation. Today's victim, the subject is Alvin Jr. himself. Time to start removing the buckshot from his belly.
To AJ's credit, he's holding it together quite well. Lee, Clementine, Sam, and Kate were losing their shit yelling during their operations. But AJ handles things pretty well.
Yeah, Lee potentially having to cut off his own arm is a bit different than us having to pop some shrapnel out of AJ's belly.
Can we talk about how James used some fucking duct tape to cover AJ's wound like it's a leaky pipe or something?
We sit with James around his fire and learn he came from a group called the Whisperers. a group of hostile survivors that cover themselves in walker skin to blend into herds. James left the group when he grew fed up with the bloodshed they caused. Eventually, James will take his mask off and reveal,
Oh no, he's hot.
No fucking way is his hair all neat and shit like that after keeping it bound up inside walker skin for who knows how long.
well, if you two want to shoot your shot, you'll be happy to know James is into men. Anyway, James fills us in on the goals of Lily and her group. They take kids and force them to fight in wars with other communities. Apparently, there's a lot of conflict going on in the area, and it extends up to Richmond, which is why Clementine doesn't return to Javier and the rest of the Season 3 group.
AJ's condition starts getting worse and we'll have no choice but to go back to the school to get proper care and medicine. James helps us get back and thankfully the kids let us in. As AJ is beginning to develop a fever, we also go our separate ways from James here.
Getting AJ up the stairs, we meet up with Violet to have a talk about how things are going to go from now on. She's ready to invite us back, but Mitch and the others, not so much. Not that it matters. The kids need Clementine's experience to turn the school into a defensible fortress.
After we plan our defenses, Mitch will show up and start throwing a fit over Clementine and AJ returning, though it seems Violet is wearing the big boy pants now, and she shuts him down. Our next goal is to go into the greenhouse to acquire barbed wire to fortify the walls of the school. Ruby and Mitch will accompany us.
When we drop inside the greenhouse, we'll find 3 goddamn walkers. Count them up. 1, 2, 3. These kids had a whole ass greenhouse with herbs, spices, and a bunch of crucial supplies, and let 3 walkers keep them from it.
The fact that Clem dropped in here and casually takes out all 3 alone kinda makes the Erickson kids look severely incapable of doing anything on their own.
Well, what can you expect from a bunch of kids who have lived inside walls since the apocalypse began? Clementine is practically a war veteran by this point.
Inside the greenhouse, we come across the barbed wire and some fertilizer which Mitch plans to use to make some bombs. I guess we know why he was sent to Erickson.
We move into the next room and come across the walker of the school nurse. Looks like she returned to nature. Anyway, we put her out of her misery and get the supplies Mitch needs for his bomb. Ruby will want to bury her nurse friend while Mitch wants to burn her. I don't know why we don't just leave her there, but whatever, we carry on and head back to our room for the night.
Now we get a bit of a time skip as the kids make all their preparations for the Raiders. 2 entire weeks pass, and nothing happens.
The Raiders are lucky the Erickson kids didn't wake up and decide to leave.
When Clem tries to get some sleep one night, she has a nightmare that involves a horse. When she wakes up, we find AJ posted up on the nightstand like he's f***ing Batman.
Little bro is on lookout for danger.
AJ wants to go out on patrol after taking it easy for the past couple weeks, but we talk him into going to bed. We wake up the next day and Violet sends Clem to check on the preparations.
Mitch is having some trouble with his bomb. I guess bro is washed up from spending his youth blowing shit up.
You can pass by Rosie and give her some attention. She's our dog now.
Meanwhile, Lewis is over here doing his best Bronze Hanzo impersonation. But real talk, he's lamenting the fact that he didn't do enough to help Marlon. He'll even give us Marlon's bow as Clem's new signature weapon.
Checking in with Violet, Willie and Asim will show up arguing over using a bag of bricks or a giant log to attack the Raiders. Both plans have their merits. After Willie punches Asim, we'll relieve some tension with a little game of truth or dare. I'm sure this is going to go great.
Violet decides to engage Clementine in a classic, a little bit of fuck, marry, kill.
That's flip, Donald. We got kids here.
Fine, flip, marry, kill. And it's between Ruby, Asim, and James.
Funny enough, Asim will be glad to hear Clementine say she'd kill him over marrying or flipping him.
Bro said he'd rather die.
Well, Clem can get him back by daring Asim to either ask Ruby for a kiss or daring him to kiss a walker head. If you send him to Ruby, the only thing he'll get is a taste of Ruby's hand as she smacks him.
The game ends with 10 talking about how he dreams of this age of walkers ending just like the Ice Age. One day there will be a world without walkers.
The only way to get to an age without walkers would be for us to just hit the big red button and be done with them.
With the card game over, you'll be faced with 2 options: spending time with Violet or hanging out with Lewis. This will be your opportunity to have Clementine start a relationship with one of the 2, or to go the singletine route.
If you go with Violet, you'll look at the stars and try to come up with new constellations.
Oh, hell no. I knew there was something I didn't like about her. She's an astrology girl.
Alternatively, you can help Lewis tune his piano.
After spending time with your companion, you'll head down and meet with AJ, who's on lookout. The boy will express desire to kill Abel because he's afraid of him.
Well, AJ called dibs. I guess Abel is his.
Nah. We're not letting the Rugrat call dibs on literal murder.
Well, whether AJ gets dibs or not, he's going to get his opportunity now. The Raiders come knocking, but first they take a shot on Omar's leg.
No, not the chef. He's the most valuable member of the team.
Clem will face off with Lily in an attempt to buy time for Mitch to set up his bomb. Lily tries to coax the kids out into the open by talking about Minerva. Thankfully, Lewis and Violet keep hidden. Things are going great. Or they would be if Tennessee hadn't fallen for Lily's ploy.
It took a while, but we finally found this season's Ben.
Hey, not too much on 10, Donald.
Oh, look, Mitch got stabbed in the neck trying to fix 10's mistake.
Putting the blame aside for now, all hell breaks loose. The raiders follow the kids into the building and we take one of them out using either the bag of bricks or Willie's log. The raiders don't take too kindly to that, and eventually AJ and Clem will end up in a rematch with Abel.
Abel got to be the most piss-poor raider I've seen in my entire life. Bro got his ass beat by a 16-year-old girl and her sidekick.
Clem and Abel take a spill off the balcony. Thankfully, Abel got the worst of it as his leg is broken in the fall, and Clem is unhurt. That is until Lily shows up.
Luckily for us, Lily is still just a tad too soft to pull the trigger immediately, which buys enough time for Lewis to come flying in like Superman.
Abel is a stubborn motherfucker, as he stops Clem from helping Lewis out. Thankfully, our best girl Rosie shows up and starts tearing Abel's arm apart.
Pretty funny that this can potentially be Abel's only remaining arm. This on top of his broken leg. Bro has lost 3 of his 4 limbs.
Now it's time for our final big decision. Once again, it's Lewis or Violet. Both of them are being kidnapped and you can only save one. The person you choose here will become very relevant later on, even if you don't start dating them.
After clearing the schoolyard of all the walkers, the remaining kids start to regroup. We've lost Asim, Omar, and one of either Violet and Lewis. On top of that, Mitch is dead. But on the bright side, the raiders left one of their own behind to suffer the children's wrath. I hope Abel is ready for some smoke next episode.
Suffer the Children is still a pretty good episode, though maybe a slight drop-off from episode 1.
The first part of the episode kind of drags a little. We got voted out of the school just to come back almost right away, which seemed kind of pointless.
Reuniting with Lily, gotta add some points though. I don't think anyone expected to see her again. Speaking of which, where is Krista?
She's dead, Donald. Let it go.
Never.
The attack of the raiders was well done. And while we managed to keep them from taking all the kids, they still got 3 of our friends and killed one of them, setting up our eventual battle to get our friends back.
Suffer the Children is a top-tier episode. Its earlier sections kind of drag a bit, but hitting us with Lily's return and the battle at the end elevated it over mid-tier. Now we have episode 3, Broken Toys.
We pick back up where we left off and things are not looking good. Willie is crying over Mitch while Ruby prepares his grave.
Damn, Clementine pulled up, and since then these kids have had to bury 3 of their friends.
Willie ends up blaming 10 for Mitch's death and for screwing up the whole plan, which, yeah, he kind of did if we're being totally fair. Setting that aside, we've got an interrogation to undergo.
Oh, hell yeah, now we're talking. We head down into the basement to get some answers out of Abel. You can slam his head, burn him, or better yet, sick Rosie on him for round 2.
Donald, I just want to remind you there's a 5-year-old in the room.
It's fine. Alvin can see a little bit of torture. It won't break him that badly.
Regardless of how you treat Abel, he'll eventually start leaking his cherry Kool-Aid all over the place due to some internal injuries, and the man completely loses his veil of confidence. He'll tell us where to find where Lily took the rest of the kids on the condition that you don't let him turn. You can give him your word or let him sweat. Either way, you can still choose to let Abel turn or give him the mercy he wants.
If you let Abel turn, he'll break down and spend his final moments crying right up until he dies, and then he reanimates shortly after.
If you prevent Abel from turning, AJ will get to see him die.
Either outcome clearly leaves an impact on the boy as he stands there pondering everything Clementine did. The game will let you know that you tortured a man in front of him if you went all out on Abel. Otherwise, it'll say you showed mercy in front of him.
Our next step is to go out and verify that Abel's information wasn't a load of crap. So Clem, AJ, Willie, and Lewis head out. On the way, Willie will start bad-mouthing 10, something AJ isn't a fan of.
Lil Bro is standing 10 toes down for his boy, even if he's a massive screw-up.
As we scope out the scene, the group comes up with a plan. We'll start a fire to distract the raiders, then sneak into the ship by using a herd of walkers to cover the team. The walkers will come from James, so we head off to go pay him a visit. But on the way, we run into a little someone.
It's one of 10's sisters, Minerva. Goddamn, she's tall.
I think Clementine is just really short, to be honest.
Damn, maybe we should join up with the raiders. Clearly they're eating good over there.
Minerva will blame Clementine for how things went down in the previous episode. And she wants everyone to just lie down and go with the raiders so no one else dies. But screw that, we've already got a plan. So AJ and Clem continue on to meet with James.
Arriving at James' camp, we find it overrun with walkers and destroyed. He comes up behind us. He's left his mask over in camp, so it's time to go get it.
Brother starts going on about not killing the walkers for some dumb reason.
It's up to you if you want to honor James's request. He'll be unhappy if you kill every walker, but grateful to you if you spare them, Alternatively, he'll be a bit more understanding if you only kill a few walkers. After we acquire James's mask, we fill him in on our plan, and James is hesitant about it. We follow James to a shed, and he reveals he's been hoarding walkers to protect them from being killed.
Oh, hell nah. Bro is out here saying all walkers matter. Get the fuck out of here.
James goes on to say the walkers are in between being monsters and humans, that some of the people that used to exist still lingers within. This is why he's hesitant about sending walkers in to be slaughtered to help save the Erickson kids.
Yeah, all right, buddy. Tell you what. Go inside that shed without your mask, and if you come out in one piece, I'll believe walkers are more than monsters.
Look, setting James' insanity aside, we need him on our side. So Clementine wears the walker mask and goes into the shed to touch a wind chime.
It'd be a real bad look for James' entire philosophy if the walker just took a bite out of Clem's hand. It's not like her entire body has the walker scent on it.
I know Telltale isn't seriously trying to sell this as some beautiful moment while we're surrounded by rotting corpses.
Once we make it out of the shed, you can react to James's whole thing however you want, either way. He'll still agree to help us after some convincing from Clementine. We leave James alone as he begins walking his herd. The party goes down tomorrow.
Back at the school, we find Ruby preparing for a hootenanny before our suicide mission begins. We have a little talk with AJ about how Abel died, and it turns out the boy isn't so hard after all, as he feels bad about Abel dying despite him being a bad guy.
Don't go soft on me now, Alvin Jr.
Alvin will also let us know he's constantly thinking about what'll happen if Clementine gets bit, and says he'd rather let Clem bite him so they can be walkers together.
Nope, none of that quitter talk. If I get bit, you take Clem out just like Lee.
AJ won't like hearing that, and he'll run off in a fit. Lewis or Violet, depending on who you saved, will show up to talk to you. Violet will speak about the meetup with Minerva, which I'm sure is awkward if you chose to pursue Violet. Lewis, on the other hand, will want to know why Clem picked him over Violet.
Eventually, AJ will come back with a beach ball ready to play a game of catch. The kid processes his emotions pretty quick for him to already be over the previous conversation. Afterwards, we'll join the rest of the kids for the party.
We'll pick up accent colors and music to play on a gramophone.
Hey, Joe. You probably remember using one of those when you were a kid.
Donald, goddammit, you're 4 years younger than me. We're from the same generation.
While the old-timers have their regular beef session, Clementine goes to meet up with Willie, who is making another explosion to blow up the Raiders' boat. He'll want to name it and ask Clem for help. We can name it Ruby's Revenge, Mitch's Masterpiece. Or we can have Willie name the bomb, and he'll name it Willie Jr. or WJ for short. If you let AJ name the bomb, he'll call it AJ.
Back in the party, Ruby will set up a game where she reads out the psych evaluations of the kids, and Clementine guesses who is who.
Y'all aren't going to believe what Willie got sent here for.
You guys want to know why I got sent here?
Dude, no.
Chronic masturbation.
Oh God, is that why you said he was taking mental images earlier?
Willie is what, like 12 or something? The apocalypse started 8 years ago. Ain't no fucking way Willie's parents sent him to this school for that at 4 years old.
Barack, I know you like to dig into the nitty-gritty details of things, but I'm going to ask you to not go too deep into this one.
You're right, the game will end when we hear Lewis's or Violet's backgrounds. Their stories are so messed up that the vibes are irreversibly fucked.
We blow out the candles, and on the next day we begin the operation to save our friends.
But not before we get a little fan service. Clementine has a dream that takes place on the train during Season 1, and look at who's here.
Goddamn, Lee is looking good in these Season 4 graphics.
Clementine and Lee have a conversation about the upcoming events. Lee does his best to encourage Clem to keep things going and get her friends back now that she's finally found a home.
Damn, man, this is as close as we're going to get to seeing Lee and a grown-up Clementine.
Don't get too attached, we got a job to complete. We wake up in the night and head out to the boat.
James shows up with his walker friends, but he's got some more moral grandstanding to do. He expresses concerns about AJ killing people. He thinks if AJ keeps going, he'll break like James did during his time with the Whispers. Listen, man, the kid is fine. We've been talking to him. It'll be all right.
Before we head in, Ten will tell us he has a message for Minerva saying that he forgives her. With that done, you'll have one last talk with Lewis or Violet and start moving to blend in with the herd of walkers.
I'm a big fan of this scene. We use the walkers to hide from the searchlight and sneak into the ship while the raiders are distracted by the fire, walkers, and the loss of the supplies.
Inside the boat, you sneak along to the boiler to lay the bomb, and you can either neutralize Lily's people or kill them one by one. Payback for Mitch.
We lay the bomb in the boiler and continue to find the other kids. Unfortunately, we're tricked by Minerva, and Clem's group are trapped inside the jail cells.
When you come to, this is when things get crazy. If you don't save Violet, she'll be furious over being abandoned. In the end, Violet gives up in fear of more people getting hurt and promises to sabotage the group if Clem keeps trying to escape.
Okay, and Violet is on my list.
Lewis doesn't have a great time either if you don't save him. Apparently he couldn't stop running his damn mouth, so the raiders cut his tongue out to shut him up permanently.
Well, Piano Boy better get used to playing instrumental. No more vocals for him.
Clem will try to escape, but she'll be interrupted and Lily will show up to have a little chat with us.
Lily wants to shoot us, but it turns out she's genuinely impressed with Clementine's whole operation and wants to bring us back to her Delta as a prize soldier.
We're kids, by the way.
I don't think she cares about that, Barack.
Lily will start going on about how Larry taught a lesson about not wasting. But the real important part is that Lily lets us know that Minerva and Sophie did in fact try to return to the school, but they were caught. So Minerva killed Sophie to keep her place among the raiders.
Well, there goes any chance of Lily being redeemed.
Barry, I think that went out the window when she had Lewis's tongue cut out.
Lewis or Violet, whoever you saved, will start throwing a fit over Minerva's brainwashing, and to teach them a lesson, Lily will have Dorian try to cut one of their fingers off. You can let it happen, or, and this is crazy, you can signal to AJ and he'll leap and go full-blown Mike Tyson and just take a chunk out of Dorian's ear.
Goddamn, forget the gun, bro doesn't need one.
When Lily learns AJ killed Marlon, she apparently likes what she sees, so Lily takes AJ away so she can turn him into a fully functioning weapon of mass destruction.
Well, now's our chance to get out. This is when Violet will make good on her threats to stop us if you don't save her. Otherwise, you'll get out of the prison and get into a fight with Minerva. Dorian comes back and gets killed by either Lewis or Violet.
We let the boys out of their cell and split off. They go to leave the boat and Clem goes after AJ. At the top of the ship, we see that the raiders have caught James and 10. The boiler has started, so we're on a bit of a timer here as we try to save AJ.
10 will get his hands on a gun to prevent James from being killed, but you gotta give Lily one thing: she can smell weakness. She unleashes her inner Aaron Yeager and calls 10's bluff, and behold, Bro starts crying and lets Lily take the gun.
Thankfully, AJ was standing on business. He got a taste for blood when he bit Dorian's ear, and he went to take another chunk out of Lily's hand.
Now's time for the showdown of the century. Clementine versus Lily.
To Lily's credit, unlike Abel, we're really not capable of winning this fight. Lily will overpower Clem every step of the way, and we need help from AJ to get an advantage. And even with all that, it looks like Lily would have reached the gun first if AJ wasn't always staying ready.
Now comes the time. James will believe Lily is no longer a threat and beg AJ to drop the gun. And given what he said about AJ breaking if he takes another life, that might be tempting.
Yeah, that. No. A full mag dump is crazy work. Good shit, Alvin Jr.
It was apparently only half a clip, but still.
If you tell AJ to spare Lily, she'll get up and use the knife in her leg to kill James. She'll take his gun and prepare to kill AJ, but thankfully the boat explodes and ends the episode.
Genuinely insane episode here. We get straight to business here, interrogating Abel, investigating the boat, dealing with James, and having a brief reprieve at the party before beginning the operation.
It seemed like they were setting up some kind of redemption for Lily here, but personally I'm glad they went all in on the villain activity.
The choice between killing Lily or sparing her is a good one. Sparing Lily is appealing if you happen to take James's warning seriously, especially when killing Lily involves AJ just straight mag dumping into her corpse.
But at the same time, if you spare Lily, you watch James die, and that means he was wrong about Lily. Not that he lives long enough to tell us how he feels about it.
We're putting broken toys into top tier, and now it's time for the finale of not just this season, but the entire Telltale's Walking Dead series. We're on Take Us Back.
As you might guess, all hell is breaking loose as the boat explodes. We'll get to see Lily's bullet-ridden body and then try to get to AJ.
After saving AJ, we jump onto a lifeboat and haul ass from the main boat before it lights up.
If you happen to spare Lily in the previous episode, Clem and her will have one final standoff. You can try to rectify your mistake here, but any arrow you shoot will miss. Lily will defend her actions up to this point. Lily sails off down the river to never be seen again.
You'll end up being saved from a walker by Lewis, and Violet is trying to get out of the water, but a walker has her foot. If you didn't save Violet in episode 2, she'll get her eyes cooked because she was trying to stop the bomb from going off in the boiler.
Damn, is she blind?
At least partially. Despite all the bullshit, Violet decides to play ball with the rest of the group. I guess getting fried on medium for 2 seconds has a way of changing your mind. We meet up with the rest of our friends and create an opening for them to escape, while the remainder of Lily's people are fighting the walkers.
Doesn't take them long to get chomped. Minerva will show up and start going to town on them too. But it doesn't take long for her to get bit. Not that it stops her from fighting.
I wish it did. Before Clem and AJ can make it to the horse, Minerva throws a grenade and scares it off, leaving us alone. Thankfully, we run into Ten and James if you happen to kill Lily. We all go into a cave to avoid the walkers.
If James was killed by Lily, we'll see a zombie on the other side of the stream. He doesn't recognize AJ, which leads to the boy concluding that James was wrong about walkers retaining a bit of their personality.
Didn't need to test the theory to know it was a load of bullshit personally, but hey, I guess James got his wish. He can hang around walkers whenever he wants.
If James is alive, he'll get into a fight with Clementine over what AJ did to Lily. And I gotta admit, James got that dog in him. He casually overpowers Clementine every time she tries to stop him from taking AJ, which is more than that bastard Abel could do.
When we're arguing with James, AJ will let it out that he liked killing Lily because it made him safe. And it's at that point you might legitimately have second guesses about AJ. It's one thing to kill because it is necessary. It's a whole other thing to do it because you enjoy doing it.
That mentality is going to keep AJ alive.
After hearing AJ out, he hits you with a pretty vital question. Will you trust AJ to make the tough calls and shoot things that need to be shot? Or will you tell him he's not ready to make such big decisions?
The kid is 5, by the way.
He might be 5, but he's got the makings of a hardened survivor.
This decision could come back to bite you later on. More walkers start coming and James will make a decision based on how Clementine spoke to him. He'll either remain behind to hold the walkers off, or he'll go down a different path and tell us to keep clear of him. Either way, this is the last we see of James.
Good riddance. Have fun sleeping with your walker friends, buddy.
Making it out of the cave, we'll run into Lewis or Violet, and they'll let us know the rest of the kids made it to the school. Things seem to be looking up for once. We can talk to Violet about naming the school something other than Erickson, and Lewis will talk about building a house at the school. Happy times all around.
Careful not to land too hard.
Can we catch a goddamn break or not?
Excuse me, is that Minerva? How the hell did she even find us when we went through a cave?
She's basically a walking corpse, too.
Minerva wants Ten to join her in a suicide pact to be with their family in the afterlife. And I'm going to tell you right now, Ten and Minerva are not going to the same place.
I'm going to talk about the absurdity of this scene. Minerva should be getting torn apart by walkers. Yes, I know she's covered in their scent and everything. But even if you've disguised yourself, you're supposed to stay quiet. Minerva is over here yelling and firing a gun, but for some reason the herd is walking towards Clem's group and ignoring the loud noise going off right next to them.
Okay, we get it. Minerva pulls up and gets into a fight with Clementine, which results in Clem's leg getting split open by the axe, but Clementine gets her get back by shooting Minerva.
Oh, so now the walkers want to attack her.
Ten will try to join his sister in the walkers while Lewis or Violet tries desperately to stop him.
Look me dead in my eyes and tell me this kid isn't a screw-up.
This is where the decision to trust AJ or not comes into play. If you don't trust AJ, he'll lower his gun, Ten will be saved, but Lewis or Violet will be killed by the walkers. Alternatively, if you did trust AJ, he'll give Ten what he wants and send him to be with his family.
Purely insane outcome to that decision. Whether you let AJ kill Lily or not, AJ killing Ten here is a bad look. He's 5. We didn't even let Clementine go around doing this shit during season 1 and 2.
It is annoying that Violet and Lewis's lives depend on you doing the dubious option. And it sucks even more that your love interest can potentially die here if you simply decide that AJ isn't ready to make decisions over another person's life.
Y'all blaming AJ for this, but need I remind you that everyone would have made it across safe and sound if Tennessee hadn't lost his fucking marbles. Talking about some where everyone gets to be a person again, motherfucker, she killed your other sister.
Okay, more to talk about here. Clementine's leg is split open. Why is she carrying the axe? Give it to someone else so they can cover her escape. Also, why did AJ reach down to pull Clementine up instead of covering her with his fully loaded gun? The hell he was going to do? Pull her up with his 5-year-old boy strength?
This results in Clementine getting bitten, but let's freeze frame here for a moment. Clementine's bite doesn't make sense. She had to peel away her boot to reveal the bite mark. How did the walker get through the boot to her skin?
There aren't even any bite marks on her boot either.
You can see that the whole bankruptcy thing kind of ate into Telltale's time frame. But this whole scene is filled with inconsistencies, and it's not going to get much better as we go through the next scene. AJ and Clementine will make their way to James's shed, and Clem's strength will give out. leaving AJ to barricade all the entrances while Clem directs him and covers him.
For what it's worth, this scene is pretty intense and well done. Swapping between Clementine and AJ as you fight against the tide of walkers is a hell of a lot better than when Lee had to direct Clementine at the end of season 1.
Just how strong is this kid? Lil Bro is running around moving full wheelbarrows and shutting barn doors like it's nothing.
After things are settled, AJ and Clementine will have one final talk, which mirrors the last conversation between Lee and Clementine. Despite her best efforts, Clem can't get up, so she directs AJ to cover himself in walker guts so he can escape, and she runs through the rule book, which will culminate in AJ either having to leave Clem behind or to shoot her in the head, of course. AJ is against this idea. But Clementine has some different ideas. Let's listen.
Please. Oh, sorry, kid. But no. I have a job for you. I need you to get back to your room. I need you to sleep in your bed and have friends and grow tall. Taller than I ever was, I hope. I need you to live, AJ. For me. That's your job now.
Okay, Clem. That's my job.
Well, that's the end. Clementine is dead.
We're not done yet. We jump back to the past and see Clementine when she was on her warpath to reunite with AJ. But things aren't looking too good as the McCarroll Ranch has been under siege by raiders. When we make it inside, Clementine will be forced to kill one of the members of the ranch.
Holy shit, is that Eddie?
Huh, well, how about that? Well, he's dead now.
Clementine will make it further inside and encounter a woman who's apparently taking care of AJ. She's forced to kill her as well. And when we finally get to AJ, he seems completely terrified of the situation.
Can't blame him. Bro is just old enough to retain memories, and I'm thinking this one is going to stick with him for a while. AJ and Clem get inside the car. We see them in at the start of the season and drive off to find a new home.
We rejoin AJ as he catches fish in the stream with Rosie. After you finish, Clementine's hat will float by, and the best girl in the world will catch it for us.
You know, that hat has really been through it. How the hell has it endured so much?
Just after grabbing the hat, AJ will encounter Tennessee. He'll be alive and well if you didn't trust AJ, but he'll be a walker if you did. You can choose to either let Ten keep existing as a walker, or take him down for good this time.
We head back to the school, and if you look around, you can see some promising developments, such as Asim and Ruby holding hands, and it seems the kids left Abel's body out to serve as a warning to any other potential raiders. AJ enters the school, and we fade to black. If the episode ended here, I'd have no complaints about it.
Well, the episode doesn't end here, so I guess we get to hear you yap some more.
Well, let's cut to the chase. Clementine is alive.
She's missing a leg, though, so that kind of sucks.
I personally am not a fan of how we kind of just gloss over Clem's survival. Are we to believe AJ cut her leg off and dragged Clem away from the shed, which was surrounded by walkers, all the way back to the school? Never mind the fact that Clem would have bled out like a pig in minutes.
Come on, Barry. You had to have known they'd never have the balls to kill Clementine.
Yes, but I wish they'd just skipped the BS, or at least written it better. But yes, I guess this happy-go-lucky ending isn't too bad.
Well, Clementine will be quick to tell us that if she ever has to run from anything, she'll be screwed.
Just make her a peg leg. Shouldn't be a problem.
Violet will apologize for everything that happened on the boat if you didn't save her, while Lewis will pass notes due to the loss of his tongue.
We get news of a group of survivors out beyond the safe zone, and Clem prepares to send a group of the kids out to communicate with them, and I got a bad feeling about that.
Well, we won't have to worry about it because absolutely nothing happens after this episode ends.
AJ and Clem have one final talk about all their time together. Clementine admits to never having a plan about how they'd survive. She just kept fighting and fighting until they found something.
Hey, improvising for over 2 years is pretty impressive, especially since neither of them died.
The episode will end with AJ laying Clementine's hat down on the nightstand, and that's the end of Clem's and AJ's story.
I'm not even going to hold you. Take us back is kind of mid.
It was a good episode, Barack. Relax.
I can't help being annoyed at the perfect storm of BS that occurs in order to get Clementine bit. Not to mention the inconsistency with Minerva not being torn to shreds by the walkers when she keeps making noise around them.
Everything after you escape from the boat is kind of reckless in the way that it's written, but the emotional highs are insane. Minerva's appearance at the bridge is chilling, making it one of the most iconic scenes in the series. The potential death of Ten or the losses of Lewis or Violet is sure to catch a lot of people off guard. And as shoddy as the writing is, AJ's final talk to Clementine matches up to the final talk with Lee. It's not peak like Season 1's or Season 3's endings, but I believe the series finale is still a top-tier episode.
Damn, Joe, you actually got all that out in one go. All I'm going to say is that AJ is my goat. and episode 4 belongs in top tier.
Well, I guess I'm outvoted, so I guess Take Us Back will go into the top tier. And what did we learn here?
We learned that the only reason any of these survivors die is because of other living people and not the walkers.
I learned to keep my hair short and to aim for the head.
The real lesson to take away here is if the zombie apocalypse starts, we just need to start leveling every city immediately.
Jesus Christ, Barack.
Of course, that's your first solution.
Well, you know who you're talking to. That's all she wrote for the ranking of Telltale's Walking Dead episodes. It's been a long and somewhat drawn-out journey, but you know how it goes. Stay safe out there, drink plenty of water, get some sleep, and we'll see you on the next one.